Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and by the end of it you should be able to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. So we'll start with addition and subtraction because that's really easy. I've given you two polynomials on your screen. Let's first add them together. For fx plus gx, the sum of these two polynomials, we're just going to employ what we know about like terms. Remember, you can only add or subtract two terms if they're like terms. So the x to the power of 4s are like terms and the x's as well. Anything that's not a like term, you just write it as it is. So in gx, there's the x to the power of 5 that doesn't have a like term. So x to the power of 4 plus negative 3x to the power of 4 gives us minus 2x to the power of 4. This term here does not have a like term, so we leave it alone. Then we add x plus minus x is just 0. And then we've got the plus 3 from gx. How easy is that? So now let's look at fx minus gx. So for fx minus gx, we're subtracting this polynomial. Whichever one you're subtracting, you put a minus out the front and you put it in brackets because we're subtracting the whole thing. So we'll just leave the fx alone for now. So when you have just a minus outside some brackets, all you do is change the sign of everything in the bracket. So the positive x to the power of 5 becomes negative. The negative 3x to the power of 4 becomes positive. The negative x becomes positive, and the positive 3 becomes negative. Now, we just add and subtract like terms as we did above. So we have now x to the power of 4 plus 3x to the power of 4. So for the minus 2x cubed, it has no like terms, so we are going to leave it as it is. Then we have an x plus x. The x to the power of 5 has no like terms, so we leave it alone. And then we've got the minus 3 on the end. It doesn't matter if you don't write the terms in order from highest power to lowest power like I did here. All right, now let's look at multiplying together these two polynomials. So when multiplying together two polynomials, we often use this dot here to mean times. It's just so we don't have to write another x, which might be confusing with these x's. So what we want to do is we want to take our first polynomial and times it by our second polynomial. So we want to multiply everything in this bracket by everything in this bracket. That's the principle of expanding brackets. So let's do it methodically. We're going to multiply this first term by everything in this bracket, then the second term by everything in this bracket, and so on. So we can write it like this, which might make it a bit easier to understand. This is what I just said. We take x to the power of 4 and multiply it by everything in the second bracket. Then we take minus 2x cubed, multiply that by everything in the brackets, and do the same for x there. So now let's expand all these brackets. So let's do the first one. X to the power of 4 times x to the power of 5 is x to the power of 9. And then x to the power of 4 times negative 3x to the power of 4. Remember your index laws here. We keep the same base and add the powers like this. And we're going to do similarly for the other two brackets. It is very long, I know. So this is what we get when we've expanded this bracket, and this bracket. Now all we need to do is collect any like terms. It's probably easiest to cross them off. So we have x to the power of 9 has no like terms. We leave it as it is. So we then cross off the two x to the power of 8 terms to get this, and we do so for the rest of the terms. Okay, now we're just going to quickly look at an example where expanding more than two brackets. So please pause and copy this down if you need. So now we're going to expand these brackets on the screen. Each of these is a polynomial, so this is the same as multiplying together three polynomials. So all we're going to do is multiply the first two polynomials together, get our answer, and then multiply it by the third bracket. So for these first two, you might recognize this as a binomial expansion, and we often use the FOIL method for this. The idea behind this is the same as what was in the previous example, however. All we want to do is multiply everything in the first bracket by everything in the second bracket. So to do the green, the first two brackets, we want to multiply x by x minus 4 and then positive 1 by x minus 4. We're going to expand that, take our answer, and multiply by x minus 7. Okay, so looking at the first set of brackets, we go x times x times minus 4. And then we do similarly here, 1 times x, 1 times minus 4. So we're going to make life easier on ourselves by collecting like terms. So this becomes x squared minus 3x minus 4 multiplied by x minus 7. So once again, the idea is the same. We want to take everything in the first bracket and multiply by everything in the second bracket. And that's what I've done here. I've taken the x squared, timesing it by everything in the second bracket, the negative 3x times by everything in the second bracket, and so on. So now I just need to expand each of these brackets. The first one, x times x, minus 7 times x squared. The second bracket, minus 3x times x, minus 3x times minus 7. Just be careful of your signs. And then we do the same to the last bracket. Now that we've got this big expression, we're just going to collect like terms. So the x cubed has no like terms, minus 7x squared minus 3x squared, 21x minus 4x, and then the 28 has no like terms, and we're done. So expanding brackets is a very important thing to note. Please ask me if you're unsure. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.